Hello, and welcome to the debrief of My Fellow Americans, Our Long National Nightmare is Just Beginning. I am that WGI geek pretty much everywhere on the internet except on Archive of Our Own, where I am Congress's Aliens. You can also just call me Sam, that's my name. Um, and this video is kind of like what's going on in my brain when I'm writing fic. Um, I've written a lot of fic in my life. I have like 350,000 published words on Archive of Our Own and a few dozen other half-finished works sort of rotting in my Google Drive. Now this fic in particular, this is a good, like the starting quote that I heard just watching a DougDoug VOD like one day. It was, "Oh, you're gonna ship me in Gerald Ford? Okay, that's fine. If you want to ship me with dead U.S. presidents, you're welcome to. Okay." And I saw that and I was like, "You are tempting fate." There's like 15 works under the DougDoug tag on Archive of Our Own, and nobody had thought to make this one yet, so I figured I'll be the one to do it. I will be the brave one. I will be the one to put myself out there and make something just so completely batshit insane. And we'll see where it goes, you know? One thing I didn't put up there is like the standard RPF disclaimer that's like, I don't own these characters, these are the real people, which, like, it's obvious, okay? I'm not insinuating that Gerald Ford has been reanimated. I'm not insinuating that, like, DougDoug is an evil scientist or anything. Um, Obviously necromancy isn't real, you know? But honestly, I'm not insinuating anything about these characters' lives or anything, other than the stuff that is factually available on Gerald Ford's Wikipedia page. And again, Doug said this was okay. He said it was alright to ship him and Gerald Ford or any other dead US presidents, so I guess next on the bucket list is just Taft or something. That'd be funny. For the people for like the 90 people on Archive of Our Own that like were kind of, I don't know what they call it, subscribed, that you get an email if I post a fic. For those people that are probably extremely confused, I wanted to just, give them a little hint, because this is not the main fan of my writing, by the way. Give them like a look inside my brain anyway, and like break down my writing process. Alright, so my writing process kind of goes like this. I start off and I get an idea. Maybe it's a really stupid idea. Maybe it's a great idea, but like it comes to me, I either write it down in the moment or I just keep it in my brain and I'm thinking about it. Um, and then when I get around to it and I have a couple minutes, I'm starting to think about how this could work, you know? How can I make this like single sentence snippet of what I want this to be? How can I make this a full-fledged fanfiction? I take like the big solid events that I want to happen and I put them in square brackets and just write it down, start to finish, in some sort of document. And it's just like, this is what I want to happen, this is what I want to happen. It's the big main beats of the story, and also the really stupid stuff. The brackets really don't take themselves very seriously. For example, with this story, a lot of the time, my bracket, like, there were at least 3 brackets that were just Gerald fucking Ford. Because it's like, this is ridiculous, right? It's really weird to write a fanfiction about bringing Gerald fucking Ford back to life. And then once I've created like my super basic skeleton, I start just going in and filling in the bits. Like, I start writing what I feel like writing, which is like usually ends up being like the big moment that the fic is building up to. It's the stupid stuff that happens in the middle. This could result in some like really weird parts sometimes, which has like weird connections, and I don't like the pacing sometimes, where I have like, okay, of course, chunk A, I have chunk B, what the heck happens in like the space in between? Which definitely happened when I was writing this fic. Like, I was counting down the weird spaces that I had left to fill between segments that I'd already written and trying to figure out how to puzzle piece those together without adding, a whole bunch of other random scenes. But yeah, I just fill chunks in randomly. I usually hit kind of a wall once I've written the things that I want to write. The big chunks that I already have ideas for, it's like, god damn it. I've written everything that I want to. And then I have to like force myself to go in and finish all the other chunks of it that are less exciting to write. And again, that means that I get some weird pacing sometimes because I try to like force myself to finish things quicker, you know. And then I have this bad habit of editing as I go. And once I've got everything together, by this point I'm usually pretty sick of what I'm writing. I've had this tab open on my browser for like a couple weeks, a couple months at this point. I usually try and do a final edit before I launch something off into the void, but also a lot of times, like, I finish it, I skim it, I get it out there. I'm done, I need to get this off my plate, boom. I kind of do that with essays too, and surprisingly it's worked. You know, it's doing something for me to just skim and go. That skim usually fixes like most blatant things, but I have also definitely left some of my plot brackets in things. I use the square brackets, one, because I don't have to press shift to use them, and two, so I can see them. But sometimes I miss them, you know? And now for the part you all want to see. Me going through the actual fic and like talking about the specific choices I made, like in the whole process. It's not posted yet because I want this to be like an actual YouTube video. Like, I'll just show you the end. Well, no, I won't show you the end notes right now because it'll spoil everything. But my end notes are basically there's making a video here, and I want that to be linked in here before I put the fic up, you know? So, obviously, you've got all the regular stuff, rating, archive warnings, all that. I really debated on the archive warning actually, because spoiler alert, Gerald Ford is dead. But also, that's like everybody knows that. It's like common sense. So I'm just gonna go with no archive warning supply. Crack treated seriously. I know crack gets kind of a bad rep as like bad fic or stuff like that, but I put a lot of effort into this thing, so one of my favorite tags is probably crack treated seriously. Second only to dubious/mad science, which is really fun. I'm a biochemistry major right now, and I know a lot of the science in this fic is just messed up and not accurate. But it's kind of fun to see, like, okay, could this actually work? The answer is probably no. Necromancy is not real as far as I know, but it's kind of fun to think about things, try and make them sort of plausible. Anyway, next we have the title, My Fellow Americans, Our Long National Nightmare Is Just Beginning, which is a bastardization of a real Gerald Ford quote that I got when I just googled Gerald Ford quotes. The real quote is, My fellow Americans, our long national nightmare is over, and it's referring to, like, Nixon being kicked out of office. Except in this case, like, by the end, the national nightmare is really just beginning, so it's kind of, you know, alluding to that. And then I have the blurb, and then I have the quote. I actually cited this. This is a YouTube link. After that, I know a lot of people who write RPF are like, oh my god, never send this to the person who this is about, but I'm cool if you send this to him. It'd be actually really funny if you read it. You can totally send this to him. I'd love it if you read it. It'd be a massive compliment. Just start off with why evil and why necromancy, I guess. When I was thinking about what's gonna get Gerald Ford and DougDoug together, I'm like, one of them's dead. Either there's gonna be a time machine involved, or there's gonna be necromancy involved. And I've written some time travel stuff in the past before, but I've never written necromancy, and I was like, you know what, sure, let's write necromancy. Also, the very first video of Doug's that I saw was these evil experiments on Twitch chat one, and that was like Doug is okay, gotcha. And I've also written like 300,000 words of Dr. Different Schwartz fanfiction. I'm scrolling through the major plot points. I know the science in this is really inaccurate, so bear with me here. We have the lab, we get an intro on that, we get an intro on Doug's motivations. This isn't to think about like the why or how Doug is evil. It's about a turning point in his evil career. We're not getting a backstory for him. We're not getting a conclusion of if it works or not. We're getting a snapshot of his life. And I'll go more into detail on that later once we get through the actual fic. But also spoilers. This video is gonna have all the spoilers. So if you haven't read it yet, Go read it, and then come back. Everybody that was gonna be spoiled is gone now, or has come back now. Gotcha. All right. Timing. This fic is kind of set in fall of 2024. It's like a 15 minutes in the future kind of style. This literally only matters for two very tiny insignificant reasons. One of them being I didn't know whether to describe Doug's hair as I'm sorry, I mean blonde or brown, so I think it comes up like once. But like if you imagine it, it could technically be in the future. Doug, you still have some time to make this a reality. Keeping up the facade and falling asleep at the lab bench. And Gerald Ford's arrival, new wonderment at the lab. Yeah, Brian Hare's taking out. That's just about the only place where the timing on this actually sort of kind of matters. Doug wakes up, the intro to Gerald Ford. There's a lot of Gerald Ford facts in this fanfic. Zero Lab illegal, OSHA mention, Pog. We've got Doug is bad at cooking, which is a running joke in here because most of the Doug is bad at 2D platformer jokes I made sounded too forced. Obviously, there's still some in here because Doug is bad at 2D platforming, but yeah. Bad at cooking works a little bit better with Gerald Ford, the man who died when the Wii was new. Joke about the DMV, because I hate the DMV. Ooh, here we go. DougDoug and Gerald Ford talk about gay people. Happy Pride Month. So this is like actually factual about Gerald Ford. The whole assassination thing. There were 2 assassination attempts on him, both in California. They were within like 2-3 weeks of each other. Second one was stopped by a gay man who the assassin fired 1 shot and he like pushed her arm away before she could fire the second. And no one was killed. Or there was like 2 people hurt by it, but no one was killed. And Gerald Ford like wrote a personal thank you note for it. Gerald Ford was actually pretty cool with the gays. He tried to make the Republican Party more tolerant of gay people, which looking back, I did make him probably a little more gay positive in this fic than he actually was, just because I'm obviously shipping him with another guy, but he was still hashtag Ally. Happy Pride Month. Gerald Ford is not gay, but cool with the gays. You might notice some things in here that sound really familiar to people with ADHD, like time blindness and forgetting to eat because you're working on something, or just like general stuff like that. This is because I have ADHD. Hope this helps. I have some other little protection things. And we get football. I read Project Hail Mary. It's really good. You should read Project Hail Mary. I love Andy Weir's work. Why does my fic mention the University of Oregon marching band? Because I'm in it. Why arm wrestling? Because it's homoerotic. They go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And then we get into like kind of domestic. It's more like, oh, could we be forced into this domestic situation? Get past that into the science and angst sort of portion of this fic. I don't think this is actually how like your heart works. I am not a doctor yet. I'm saying this is real. It's not. But I'll say it is for the purpose of this fic. The streaming interlude feels really forced. It's not great. And then you get right after that mark, just like, boom, serious conversation about death in the afterlife. And look, this fic gets weird, you know? I wouldn't say this is like my belief on the afterlife or anything, and I'm not insinuating that it is either the characters or the real life people's beliefs on the afterlife, but I am saying this is what makes sense for the context of the fic. And then we have sleep talking and a little bit of thirsting courtesy of Gerald Ford to break all that tension. Shout out to all of you that think Doug is hot. I get AI Gerald Ford, and this is one of the plot brackets that, like, wait, what if I actually brought this back? That'd be cool, right? And then it actually led to the big realization and the turning point in Doug's career. Instead of, like, he can raise an army of the undead instead of actually having to rely on real people. And I'm like, see, sometimes the connections that I make between big, like, plot bracket chunks I've already written. Sometimes they're not great. Sometimes they just work, and I don't plan that. It just kind of works out that way. And Doug is like kind of gone from like kind of like verge of burnout at the start of it to re-energize and ready to go on this whole like taking over the universe thing. And then we've got the lightning, which is I try to kind of bring it a lot in this fic. I've tried to have it be kind of like an arc symbol, like the thing your English teacher wants you to notice. I've tried to do that. Um, Authors do kind of consciously think about this kind of thing. It's not just a thing your English teacher wants you to bullshit out of nowhere. I mean, sometimes that happens. But sometimes we actually think about it. And then we get a nice segue into bisexuality. Happy Pride. This is, I think, the first part of this fic that I wrote. It's one of my favorite parts of this fic, especially like this section right here. I love this line. It is I just think it's something he would say. And we just get this whole slightly sexuality crisis, but also he's really chill with it, which is kind of a running thing in this fic. People being really chill with things that are not realistic to be very chill about in real life. Then we get the last day. Then we have the last day, day 7, sort of deal. And we get the big damn kiss. So I was watching the Fidget Toy tier list vid while I was kind of writing this part, and Doug mentioned the glass ball thing and how he's dropped them and broken them before, and I'm like, perfect. Symbolic depiction of the final turning point in Doug's whole attitude and outlook, representing how there's no turning back from this point, how there's no turning back from these ideas he's putting into place. To be fair, I only came up with that English class analysis after I wrote that segment. It was like while I was washing dishes at work. Honestly, it makes I am impressed in myself. Um, then we get the death seed, which is just weird. Gerald Ford re-dies, and Doug has kind of a blue screen of death moment, like, oh my god, what am I gonna do now? I just have to figure this shit out about myself, and then finally, at the very end of it, the lightning makes a return, and we get like a hope spot, a realization that this is happening now, and we don't get an awful lot of closure about it, but that's the whole ass point of this fic. You're not supposed to have any sort of, like, this is why he's doing it, beyond control, this is what happens to it. We just get, this is what, it's kind of like the end of a prequel. Before you get into the main story about what's happening to him. This fic isn't about Doug's evilness a lot, really. That's why I never gave him a villain nickname. That I couldn't think of one that fit very well. This fic is about his relationship with Gerald Ford and how his evil and scientific journey comes out of that. It's a character study. It's a slice of life. It's not people from the norm. It's all of that at once. And so that's the fic. Please leave comments. I love reading comments. They're my lifeblood. Did I think this fic would be 15,000 words? I mean, a little bit. I was like, what if this total shitpost of a fanfiction became something like a 15,000 word one shot that takes itself way too seriously? And then it became that, but I wasn't planning on it, but I kind of thought it would be something like that, because I know myself by this point. Am I sending this to Doug? No, I'm not. Someone else can and absolutely should. I would love it if you read it, but I'm not going to self-promote my own work to them. That seems weird and parasocial. But you should. You absolutely should. I just don't want to do it myself. Hey, what's the deal with the Perry Torrance fanfiction on your crib of our own? How long did this take to write? About 2 months-ish. I wrote it all on the archive of but those of you that know what that means, yeah, it is a little nuts. I did have to copy paste it into a second draft for the 30-day time limit, but it took me about 2 months of writing while I'm, being an active college student. If if I had, just a whole bunch of free time, I probably could have knocked it out in less, but obviously I didn't. What am I writing next? For the next 3 months, like absolutely nothing because I'm doing drum corps. I move in with the Seattle Cascades in a few days. After the drum corps season is over, then Parish Sports Week, ship week for that. After that, I have no idea what I'm doing next. But yeah, that is the Gerald Ford fiction